And we're back. Okay, so this time I think I have the right game. I'm not sure.
Let's hope and pray because we're about to set up once again for. Okay, yeah,
Sorry, I
let's see.
think the map was wrong, so it looks wrong again.
Okay,
Hmm.
well, I'll let you sort that, and once again, I'll introduce probably the players. We are probably going to be watching Dashwriter PG, of course, a very old school player who's been around for a long time, and was at one time highly active in the scene. Looks like he's making a big comeback. Going to be fighting off against DA88, who I believe is also Lion OD. So yeah, once again, another battle of the old and the new, and we'll see who comes out on top. And as always with these old school guys, I really hope that Dashwriter's been putting in the time to really get his skills back to strength, where we can see some awesome stuff come out of these players.
Indeed. By the way, I gotta say, his picture in the Wikipedia page is pretty damn handsome. That guy, like, I think we have a competitor for Sir Jolt. You guys, everybody go to Wikipedia and like search Dashwriter. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Anyways,
he's got the manly jaw.
he does indeed.
That's what does it, I think.
That handsome German Zerg.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see if good luck translates into good StarCraft.
Indeed, let us find out. All right, going into the game, round of 16 between Dashwriter and DNA. Alright, spawning as the purple Zerg at the top left corner, we do have a Dashwriter PG, messing up the split a little bit there, going to 3 patches. And at the bottom right, as the teal Terran, we have Lion OD, aka DNA88. I'm just gonna write Lion OD in the chat. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
that's
in the overlay.
simple. Yeah.
That'll be simpler.
Okay, so yeah, it's going to be a lovely TVZ, and I am. Ooh, this is a bit of a tricky one because, as I already mentioned, I want Terrans to be going through here. I want some variety and I want some Terran power. But having said that, I want to see Dashwriter do well. I love seeing these old school guys kind of sneak up out of the woodwork and surprise everybody by coming back to form. So I'm caught a little bit in between two minds about this. So I might actually have to be impartial for once. Who'd have thought it?
Yeah, man. See, it sucks that not only are like all of the currently really strong players Zergs, but all of the old school players that are coming back are also Zergs. I mean, there's a few guys, you know, like G5 and Infernal who've been playing who are Protoss, but you know, we've got like Nalgrim, Drone, Dashwriter here. They're all Zergs. It's like, so many Zergs.
Yeah, I know. I think we could probably, you know, do without one or two. So it's not hate against Dashwriter, but you know, I'm all for variety. And yeah, like no, we're not going to see anything crazy for any of these guys. It's nice standard stuff. We're actually going to see a wall in from Lion, which is maybe not 100% conventional, but nonetheless that's what's happening. And we're going to have a little bit of 12 hatching action in the top left-hand corner from Mr. Dashwriter.
Yeah, I actually don't know when the last time I saw a Terran wall in against Zerg was, but it was a very long time ago. This is essentially never done anymore. You just build a barracks oh, hold on, I should clarify that unless you're going for a tech play and you want to hide your build against a drone scout. And also not just hide it against drone scout, but also if he does actually make this a link type wall, which I'm slightly suspicious about given his layout so far, that can also be quite helpful because you only want to make 1 Marine. But
Yep.
yeah, sorry, I mean, I'm just so used to seeing like 1-Rax expands nowadays that I just completely forgot that this was even possible. I mean, even you know that crazy build we saw Terra do the other day where it didn't make any sense, but he went for some kind of tech play. I don't think he even walled off in that game, did he?
No, I don't think he did.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a long time, but yeah, okay, I'm sorry. He actually put the factory here, which I think does make it a tight wall. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it does.
I'm 99% sure it does. I'm not going to put my my insignificant reputation on it, but I think that's a complete wall. So yeah, we'll assume that it is so far, because I'd imagine Lion's tried and tested this quite a few times, and he's going to get the scouting on his Zerg opponent as well. But yeah, it is a bit unconventional to see, and it's always interesting to see what follow-ups we get from him, because we've had some crazy follow-ups to factory openings in TVZ so far in these qualifiers, haven't we?
Indeed we have, and it just makes it that much more interesting, but also that much more harder to call here. I've already not really been on the ball with Lion's builds here, but you know, this is quite interesting because, you know, Dashwriter being the old school player, he's the one I would have expected to do you know, something more unusual, but he's just going for a very standard 3-hatch play, whereas Lion OD, who I believe is, I'm not too sure his exact rank, but he's some kind of, I can't imagine he's much better than C+.
No, I think he's C+, B-.
Okay, so yeah, I would have expected him to do some more standard stuff, but I guess since he's playing against some super old school, you know, Gosu here, he wants to try something crazy, and he is actually going for a starport here, as well as a machine shop on his factory, which lends me to believe that it is going to be a vulture drop with mines.
Yep, it looks like it, which is kind of interesting way to play against Zerg. I mean, this is, I don't know, I suppose it's valid. I mean, mines make it difficult for the Lings, although I'd have thought that already the vultures make it pretty easy to deal with Lings anyway, so maybe the mines are just mainly to deal with a Hydra threat, which is what we're probably going to see, and yes, we do have the Hydra thing going down from Dashwriter, so this kind of makes sense. But Hydra's, of course, not too bad against mines, even when they got no detection. Their rate of fire is high enough that if you just have a few of them, then usually they can pick their way through mines without taking any hits.
Exactly, they're not like Dragoons, they basically have instant shot, they don't need to wait for the travel time of like the Dragoon's bullets, so yeah, you can A-move them over mines if you have a sufficiently large number and generally be fine, although occasionally they bug out and you just lose a ton of Hydras because they get one shot, but that is quite amusing. By the way, this Hydra Den, usually it's placed defensively and just to defend against the initial Vulture, but he's still not getting a lair, so I'm a little bit curious about this. Does he just not have enough money yet or something? Because the lair definitely should be started by now, I feel.
It should, yeah. I think it's a matter of money, because I can't think of any other decent explanation. So hopefully we'll see that happening in a second. Otherwise, his text can be quite significantly delayed, which is of course not what we want to see. We do have a Hydrus going down at the front already, presumably taking a mine hit, and Vulture continuing to mess around out there, taking out a Zergling as well, but that Hydrus is going to get out and going to be able to clear out the mines from the front of the base. But we do now have the dropship heading out over to the top right hand area of the map. It's interesting that those Vultures decided to use up a couple of their mines outside the Zerg's natural instead of waiting until they got into the main, but it looks like Dashwriter is onto something, heading a bunch of Lings up to the 12 o'clock, presumably in a scouting effort, going to get taken down by mines, and with a couple of Hydras still moving around as well, he has a decent chance of spotting this dropship as it comes in. It looks like he's just going to have moved his Hydras away in the nick of time for Lion OD, and those Vultures are going to get into the main, and now it's a question of how good is Dashwriter at damage limitation.
Oh man, this could be very, very bad. Looks like the Hydras don't have any upgrades yet. They're slow and they don't have range. So these Vultures, even though without speed, could do a ton of damage here. Let's see how many drones are they going to get. Are they going to lay some mines first? Yes, they're going to start mining up the larva, actually. They will be able to one-shot larva, I believe. Yes, indeed. Although it looks like the one line killed the other. But looks like here we go. Going to start killing drones. How many will he kill? Looks like 3 drones down so far. 4 drones. 5 drones. 6. 7... Doesn't get the 8th drone, actually survives with 1 HP there. Just a lucky regen, even though it took 2 shots from a Vulture, should in theory have died. Did actually regen that 1 hit point in time. Looks like he's going to grab this last gas drone as well. So I think that was 8 drones in total or something like that. So a fairly effective drop there as well. By the way, I'm still caught up on this lair timing from Dashwriter. That just feels so late. He had so much gas in the bank he wasn't using for a long time. He's at 630 gas right now. Really, really wasteful in my opinion.
I think so too. It's yeah, it's a bit of a sticky situation right now. There's still a Vulture in the main for Dashwriter, and it's still taking out more drones, so he's going to lose another 2 extra drones. Somehow his Vulture kind of got distracted at the last second and picked a different drone just before it killed one, so he actually only got 1 extra drone for his money right there. But nonetheless, a little bit of an error from Dashwriter, not cleaning those Vultures up as efficiently he might have done. He tried a little bit of a kind of weird counter-attack into his opponent's natural as well, but left very quickly upon realizing that 2 Hydras probably not going to be enough to break his opponent right there. And yeah, managed to get a couple of hits on that dropship as well, which is kind of hanging around rather limply outside the Terran's natural, but hopefully he's going to bring that back into action soon enough. And Dashwriter looking ready to make the 12 o'clock base as well, presumably for the extra gas, although I'm not quite sure why he feels he needs it. Okay, we do now have the Spire up at the natural, so the tech is progressing, even if rather slowly.
Yep, now actually, once the Spire completes, he will be able to use up all this stored gas for Mutalisks, so it won't actually have gone to waste, but I don't know, I mean, he's only mining with 1 guy on gas in his main right now. That's got to be a mistake. especially since I'm pretty sure he's considering Mutas, having saved up all of his larva right now. He looks like he wants to save up for the 9 Mutalisks, but he's not really going to have enough minerals actually to spend it since he just made that hatchery at the 12 o'clock. Meanwhile, Lion, of course, going for the pure mech play here in TVZ, which is not something we see very often actually at the high levels. Usually it's a bio first and then transition into late game mech. But in this case, he's going for mech first, and I kind of like this decision. Going for pure mech play is actually mechanically a lot less demanding than going for bio.
Yeah,
so if you're only like a C plus level Terran, I mean, not to kind of make fun of his rank or anything. I mean, I'm only that level myself, but just it's definitely easier on your APM and your mechanics to go for this kind of strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Marine Medic is one of the most intensive things you can do because apart from anything else, you barely even have the control group numbers to deal with it when it starts to get into the later stages of the mid-game. And it looks like these mutas are going to find the dropship, although the dropship actually has nothing in it, so that's a bit irrelevant. It looks like the mutas, they don't really care. They're just going to go... Okay, they do care. They've turned around. They did a little bit of a double take and then went back. But it's an empty dropship, so I'm not sure I should be too worried. I'm not quite sure why that's happening. Is that just to buy him time?
If that's what he's doing right now, that is pure genius. I don't know if that's the case. Because
I can't think why else.
Well, maybe he just like forgot to load something. Like, were you? Oh man, because I totally did that the other day. Because I actually started laddering again just to kind of help improve my observing skills. Because somebody, a few people in the stream thread actually, or in the TLS thread said my obsing wasn't quite up to scratch. I was like, all right, I'll play some games. I went Reaver one game. I made a Reaver and then loaded like a Dragoon and a Probe in my shuttle by mistake. And then just send it all the way across the map. And then I looked at and I was about to start doing Reaver harass when I realized I didn't have a Reaver in the shuttle.
Yeah, problematic. So maybe it was genius, maybe it was a cock-up. I guess we'll never know. But
we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, well, I was planning to, but yeah, I think that's what we've got to do for the sake of preserving his integrity. We do not have a Valkyrie out, which is of course a very, very fair move. The mutas are instantly seen away by that. There's a good number of Goliaths out as well. Do we have the upgrade? Okay, the Goliath range upgrade is on its way. Although, of course, you know this, Mr. Sale, Goliath's not generally so good against mutas. Their damage is not ideal. So a big cloud of mutas can often fare pretty well against a big crowd of Goliaths. So it's often interesting to see how those battles play out. Although I'd expect Dashwriter to not be picking too much of a muta-orientated player. I wouldn't imagine he'd be making too more of them as the game goes on.
It's actually slightly counterintuitive given how good Goliaths are against like carriers and cruisers, because basically what happens is Mutalisks are a small unit type, which means the Goliaths only do half damage to them. And not only that, but because a Goliath shot is split into 2 separate rockets, the armor value of the mutas is actually applied twice. So once you start so oftentimes what you see when Zergs play against mech is they'll go Hydralisk Mutalisk as their composition, and they'll get Muta Carapace and a Hydralisk attack. So as you can see here, he is getting range attack for his Hydras right now. Let me see if I can click the Spire. He's not getting Carapace, but oftentimes what you do is you send the Mutas in first to tank damage, and then you send in all the Hydras. And the Mutas actually can tank fairly well against Goliaths, which is quite interesting. But that's also why I love that he added this Valkyrie, because basically he's already got all the tech that he needed for the Valkyrie anyway. He went for the drop opening, so he's got the starport with the control tower. He's going for mech, so he's obviously got the armory. So he can just get the Valkyrie for free. Without having to actually change his tech path or anything like that. So I quite like that decision by him, actually. I think that's a very smooth transition, as Day9 would actually call it.
Yeah, I think the Valkyrie is definitely a nice call, and the transition is favourable. And it looks like he managed to catch these lurkers before they get out of the exile. This is tight stuff. He's going to see those lurker eggs, and he's going to know that he has a window of opportunity if he sieges up.
Counter-attack in the natural.
Oh my god, that's quite a lot of units coming into the Terran's main right now. So we currently have Lion OD doing a big push towards his opponent, but at the same time Dashwriter is doing a big counter-attack. Going into the main, he's going to be able to take out all the missile turrets and make way for the mutas to go in and ravage the SCV lines, which they're going to be able to do quite soon. Focusing a little bit hard on that factory at the front field. They could be taking out the armory, they could be taking out a whole bunch of stuff, and it looks like Lion is going to be splitting his forces at Dashwriter's natural. We do have an engagement going down, but it looks like Lion is not going to be that optimal in his engagement right there, and those siege tanks are going to unsiege and possibly move back at this point just to defend the main. Although siege tank's not going to be of any help whatsoever, and those mutas are now just going to start laying waste to the SCV line. There is one missile turret left, the last bastion of hope, but now the SCVs are starting to go down, and this is seriously bad for Lion's economy, and Dashwriter might have just pulled himself way back into this.
Oh man, he's doing a ton of damage here. The Valkyrie comes back, but it's just a single Valkyrie, and it gets hit by a Scourge and almost immediately taken down, and Lion having to split his forces now, bringing most of his Goliaths back to defend against us. But this is very, very nice move by Dashwriter against the giant mech force like that of the Terran. It's very, very difficult to engage head on. So doing these kind of backstabs, running around the map is super effective. Although, you know, now that attack is over, he's still got this big mech army outside his natural to deal with. Although could get some good mind drags with these Zerg. He says what he's trying to do. Oh, good mind there. Hits a number of tanks, but doesn't manage to actually kill any of them. Although definitely weakens them down. But just having a look at the drone count, though, actually not amazing. And oh man, the Muse actually engaging Goliaths head on here in the middle of the map. Not sure if that's the best idea, although it looks like the Goliaths kind of all split up now. So actually was able to take out some free units. They're going to grab some free siege tanks as well while he can. Meanwhile, a lot of units now coming out the back, but the Lurkers running into Spider Mines, taking a lot of damage. Actually losing 3 Lurkers for free there. But now the Goliaths have come in to reinforce, and this is really, really good play from Dashwriter. This is exactly how you want to engage the Terran. You don't want them to move around in a big clump, in a big ball of doom. You want them to be split up. You want the army to be completely, you know, in a mess here. Although, is it going to be enough though? Looks like the Goliaths are too much, and Dashwriter is losing most of his forces.
I think Dashwriter simply doesn't have the numbers here. He had a good number of Mutalisks, but not quite enough to deal with that number of Goliaths and to deal with the consistent pressure. And he had a handful of Lurkers, but again took some nasty mine hits on his way out. I just don't think he quite had the army count. However, he does still have the base over Lion, so it's definitely not over yet, although as a Terran player it's not necessarily that important to go for your third base. But look at Lion's SCV count, is so low right now. He cannot replenish his army quickly at all, so I feel like if Dashwriter can hold on for just a bit longer, he's going to be alright. But can he even do that? He is now supply blocked, and he's going to have a really hard time dealing with this next Terran push.
Oh man, the tanks are starting to siege down the natural. This is a very, very stressful time for Zerg, let me tell you. Looks like he was thinking about going for a counterattack with this small group of mutants and links, but decided to come back for a flank attack here. He's going in the front with pure mutalisks here. If he can kill all the Goliaths, he will get the siege tanks for free, but that is a big if here. There's a lot of Goliaths. This could be the final battle. Link's actually screaming out. Oh, got a huge mind drag on the Goliaths. It looks like they're going to come in and clean up everything here. Dashwriter might actually be able to clean up this force here. It's going to be very, very close, but it looks like the Zerg will barely come out ahead with just 2 Mutalisks remaining. If that looks like the one Goliath going to try and micro it down. Yes, just 2 Mutas remain from that engagement, and suddenly the mech army has been destroyed, and that is a very expensive army to rebuild here. It also takes a very long time. The construction times of the tanks is quite long. Looks like he actually lost one of the factories on his machine shops there, so having to rebuild that. But I'm still slightly concerned about the Zerg's economy. If you look at his third base, not very many drones there. The main and natural okay, but on the other hand, the Terran's economy is completely shot. Look at his natural. He's got 4 SCVs mining minerals in his natural. I think it's slightly imbalanced as well. He's got too many SCVs in his main. So I guess just earlier on that Muta counterattack kind of made him run the SCVs all around, all over the place, and he forgot to actually transfer them back to the natural to balance his workers. So that could actually prove quite costly in the end.
Yeah, I think it really could, because his economy is in horrible shape, and Dashwriter looking like he's going to go for another flank, and I think Dashwriter does have the numbers definitely this time to do this. The siege tanks are not sieged. The Muta's going first, so the tanking damage not really working for him there, but I think he might just have the army count. However, there are 2 tanks sieging up, and they're going to start doing pretty significant damage to all these Zerglings, but I think Dashwriter does have the stuff to do this. He's going to be mopping up the last of the Goliaths right now. One missile turret does complete, but that's not going to be enough to save the siege tanks, and the silence vessel is going to be going down too any second now. So I think Lion is starting to run out of steam. He's not even producing SCVs at his natural. I think he did just do it. Okay, he is now producing SCVs at his natural. I think he did do a transfer as well, so his economy now slightly more well balanced, but even so, he's going to start falling behind if Dashwriter can find the opportunity to start droning, although Dashwriter does seem to be constantly living just kind of on the edge of this game.
Yep, and by the way, in just a second here, +1 carapace is going to be finished, which means that the Zerg army is actually going to be out-upgrading the mech army here. They're going to be 1-1 against just the 1-0 of the Terran. I don't think he's getting armor, actually. Oh, no, he's actually getting +2 vehicle attack. Okay, so that's actually well on its way. So when that finishes, he'll be in okay shape again. But yeah, this is looking pretty bad for him. He's now kind of sitting in his base. He's got 68 supply against 89 here. The Zerg is a pretty nice supply lead. And even though, you know, when you're going for bio TVZ, you generally should be ahead of the Zerg in supply. When you go for mech, actually, it's okay to kind of stay even or maybe be slightly lower in supply. But just because the Zerg is massing a lot more cheaper units like the Hydralisks and even the Mutas, relatively speaking, are you know, they're cheaper than siege tanks. So so in that regard, it's not the worst situation. But you know, he has already lost a lot of those tanks and Goliaths. Those are very, very expensive, as I've said. So it's quite hard. Meanwhile, a random SCV actually running out here. Not sure where that's going. One thing actually I didn't point out earlier, but that Lion's Knight has put spider mines everywhere. He put them on all the expansions very, very early. So that was definitely a good move by him, just to check all those expansions.
Yeah, definitely it was. I mean, it's really important to know, not necessarily just to be able to prevent your opponent from expanding, but to know if he's expanding at all. Very, very crucial factor. Dashwriter being a bit slow to move his lurkers back right now. He's going to go in for a Scourge on a fictional science vessel, and of course the Scourge are going to die to Goliath fire. I think Dashwriter's position is still not entirely certain. I think that Lion's kind of harbouring a hope of making a base up in the top right-hand corner, maybe, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, actually one drone going there to try and beat him to it, although there is a spider mine just blocking everything there. Yeah. So neither player able to make a base. It's kind of curious because he should really be taking the 6 o'clock instead, kind of playing that turtle slough. Almost like what we saw in Terra versus Andre, where you know you want to take the closer third and just turtle up a little bit. Meanwhile, another big engagement here in the middle of the map. A lot of Mutaling Hydrals through the Terran army is in full retreat. He's waiting for the Vultures actually. It looks like now it might be enough. He's not attacking, though the Vultures aren't attacking. Finally start attacking, although he's lost most of his Goliaths already. Oh man, the Muta's just going to clean everything up here. Even if the ground army falls, it doesn't matter. He's going to kill all of the siege tanks.
Yeah, the ground army's cheap. The ground army tanks damage really well and has decent high DPS as well. But then when everything is gone, as long as the Goliaths are dead, then these units can really clean up. However, the units look like there's a lot of Goliaths coming in to well, not a lot. I say it's 4 or 5, but even so, it doesn't matter. They're still able to clean up the mutas, and Dashwriter is still not looking 100% to take this game. I mean, Lion OD is really pushing back. Dashwriter still hasn't been able to drone that much. He has got a little bit more economy behind him, but really still looking pretty thin at 12 o'clock. And Lion is still being able to mount a decent number of units, although he's kind of just trading and never really getting ahead. But one good engagement happens, and he could find himself in a nice position, barreling down one of the Zerg's expansions.
Yeah, and it's quite good. You see, there's 2 drones actually at different expansions trying to build another base for Dashwriter, but just he hasn't been able to clear the mines yet. He really should just like send one Zergling there to just to tank the mine hit, take one for the team. Although it looks like another big engagement here in the middle of the map. The Mutas and Hydras going in. Not that many Mutalisks this time though. Although it looks like some Zerglings are actually able to close with the siege tanks. Not enough forces for the Terran. Although will it be enough? It's gonna be close, but I think the Zerg once again is gonna take this engagement just with a handful of Hydras left over here. Just once again barely winning, but every time he clears up the Terran army like that, it's such a huge hit to the Terran. And actually, there's not even a single siege tank left on the map. There are no more tanks, and these Hydras could actually just walk into the natural and just kill him. Although it looks like there's a few spider mines being laid as an emergency defense, but this could be very dangerous for Lion right now. He's actually sending some vultures maybe to counterattack here around the 6 o'clock.
And Lion is literally walling himself in fear and pulling SCV to defend. He has nothing in terms of army. I mean, supply count can often be flattering towards Zerg, but I think this is looking really bad. 66 versus 90, and Dashwriter is just putting on all the pressure right now. We do have a little bit of a vulture kind of counterattack, but they're going to run into some serious trouble in the form of a large flock of mutas ready and waiting. I mean, Lion OD is going to hold on for now, but Dashwriter still holds all the cards, and surprisingly, those are still slow vultures, so I wouldn't imagine that harass is going to be particularly incisive.
Yeah, and looks like a Ling almost ran up to the top right and blew up the drone that was standing on the mine, but luckily the Overlord came in range and actually let the drone kill it. That sounds quite nice. I was hoping that the drone would actually get blown up as well. That'd be quite funny. But in the meantime, it looks like a Vulture Harasser at the 12 o'clock going to kill a few of these drones. Actually going to kill most of the drones, in fact, which is definitely going to hurt. But Dashwriter didn't actually have that many drones there in the first place. Meanwhile, sending a couple lurkers over to the top right now to help defend that new expansion, which actually has an SCV there. Meanwhile, Lion's SCV at the 6 o'clock hasn't had the resources to actually build that command center. He's been too busy just remacroing his army. I really think he should stop moving out with those medium-sized forces. Just turtle up a bit more and just you know, go on 3 bases and play the defensive game. Because in small to medium numbers, the mech army is actually not nearly as scary to the Zerg as when you have, you know, a giant 150 plus supply mech ball rolling across the map. That's when it gets really scary for the Zerg.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, Lion's just been throwing away those small engagements all game, and it's really hurt him. As we can see now, he's He's got very little in terms of army left. His supply isn't that far behind, but it takes a certain mass to really be able to take on the Zerg and to have anything left at the end of it, which is what you really require. You can't just be trading all game, otherwise it's probably going to end pretty badly. The Muta's now going to make the way into his main, and he's got nothing really to deal with this. He's got a handful of Goliaths, which might be able to deal with this Muta count, but okay, yeah, they will be able to deal with this Muta. That's actually quite a lot of Goliaths. But he's looking really, really vulnerable, and there's nowhere that Dashwriter can't go and kind of pressure, which is critical.
Yeah, it looks like once again Lion making a bit of a costly move out here. Or not costly yet, but I really don't think this is a good idea. I mean, the Mutas are just waiting to pounce on the back here. Looks like going to clean up a few of these lurks for free, though. Dashwriter making a bit of a mistake with them, but it looks like the Muta's going to try and come in here, grab some of the siege tanks for free. Are they going to be able to do it? They're taking a lot of damage from the Goliaths. They will get one siege tank, but at the cost of a couple of Mutas, they're not really sure if that was necessarily worth it. But, I mean, he's now on 4 bases against the Terrans too, and, you know, no signs of a third yet from Line. He had that SCV for a while there. It looks like it's gone now, or it's been killed or something. And it doesn't even matter. He doesn't have any minerals for it anyways. He's too busy rebuilding these units that he keeps throwing away here. I mean, why is he actually moving out here? Like, what does this actually accomplish? He should just sit here, defend this side of the bridge, take the 6 o'clock base, and just turtle up. And, you know, if you want to do harassment, if you don't want the Zerg to out-macro you, just use Vultures, man. Vultures are basically free. I mean, have you not heard Noni? Vultures are free and have a build time of 0, dude.
That's how it does feel when you're facing down against a lot of Vultures. It just feels like, well, what can I do against all these things? They're bloody everywhere, and it's constant and it's non-stopping. So yeah, I think Dashwriter's not Dashwriter, sorry, Lions maybe missed a trick slightly there, because as we all know, Vultures are super imbalanced, and right now heading over to the left hand side of the map with a split up army. He needs to keep his army together, otherwise he's going to get picked off in bits. He runs the risk of losing his reinforcements kind of in dribs and drabs here against the oncoming Zerg forces. He might just have enough for once in this engagement. He might have the numbers to deal with the oncoming Zerg forces. If he can win one battle, he might just be able to turn the tide, and the Goliath count is looking good, but he needs to be taking down those Mutas, and his tanks need to be focusing down the Hydras, but it's not enough. He still doesn't have the army, and Dashwriter is able to once again clean him up. And I think Dashwriter very smartly decided...
GG!
Okay, GG, there we go. Dashwriter throughout that game, at no point did he get over enthusiastic and think, alright, I'm going to kill the Terran, I'm going to kill the Terran. He just kept on bringing it back, kept on taking those engagements. He was perfectly happy to do that. And I think that kind of offsets one of the major mistakes we often see from players against Terran, which is to just think, right, I'm ahead, I've killed their army, now I can go kill them. But it really doesn't work like that against Terran. I think Dashwriter played that actually quite smartly. Whilst it looked a little bit slow, a little bit reserved from him, I think he was just kind of making sure, and I think it's perfectly within his right to do so.
Yeah, and you know what? That last engagement kind of summed up everything I was talking about for the whole game. The Terran army moves out, he's in open field, he gets surrounded, and that's basically the game. So yeah, I think it was a cool choice to go for that kind of mech style against Dashwriter, but the execution was just a little... Not actually, you know what? I'm not going to say the execution. I think just the decision making was a little bit questionable there.
Yeah. Yeah,
mechanics wise, you know, he was, you know, he's making stuff, he was macroing okay, but just the decision to kind of move out there with small to medium sized forces just really makes me like, that's not how you play mech.
Yeah, it's really not, because it's not uncommon to see the Zerg get way ahead in terms of expansion counts in a mech orientated game, and then the Terran, he has a little bit of an uphill battle against him, but it's easily possible to roll across the map and take out 1, 2, 3 bases in your path and then take a real battle of it. So I think impatience had a hand in that.
I mean, that's almost expected, because the mech army is so cost efficient against Zerg that, you know, if you have 5 base Zerg against 3 base Terran, that's fine for the Terran, because you're going mech and your army is basically unbeatable. The Zerg just needs to make, you know, unlimited Hydras if he wants to stand a chance.
Unlimited Hydras, yeah. Exactly.
So, that is all for that, and we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to go into our first semifinals match. It is going to be none other than our hero, Liquid Drone, playing against SJ Julia. BRB.